Hello, everyone. BlackRock just dropped a $1 trillion bombshell at Ripple Swell. BlackRock executive Maxwell Stein says global financial systems are ready for large-scale blockchain adoption, and that the infrastructure from Ripple could soon move trillions of dollars on-chain. Now, pause for a second. If you're an XRP holder, your ears should be ringing right now. We're going to dissect exactly why this matters to your portfolio. And hey, I've been sifting through hours of Swell content and I stumbled across something wild. Brad Garlinghouse sat down with CoinDesk, and somehow this interview didn't get the attention it deserves. We're fixing that today. I've also got a few more nuggets from Swell sitting in my library that haven't made it to your screen yet. And here's where it gets interesting. Smart contracts on the XRP ledger are heating up in ways that might surprise you. Trust me, you'll want to see this part. Every single day I'm here hunting down the latest updates for you, and today, we're stacked with content. So settle in, grab your coffee, and let's jump right into this. Here we go, and listen to this.
You made that what caused it to be startled a little bit and then delighted was the Hidden Road acquisition because it sort of shifted, that's a new limb, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Moving directly into the markets and interacting with traders and institutional traders and touching the fast money a little bit more.
Yeah.
You've since rebranded that to Ripple Prime. It's the first kind of crypto-native prime brokerage that really has a substantial capital base under it, which has been the hamstring of other crypto-native prime brokers. So how central or peripheral is that strategy? Obviously, it leans in with collateralization and payments and things, but this is a trading play.
It is, but it's also a play of bringing the slow money in. If you want the Citadels and the Fortresses to be in this market, they need a counterparty that has the capital and has the balance sheet to support them as a counterparty. And so, I think if we as in the overall industry want to continue to see the industry grow, and, obviously Ripple's particularly focused on the XRP ecosystem, but we want all of crypto to do well. And so I think by having Hidden Road, now Ripple Prime, with a much stronger balance sheet, the ability to increase the types of counterparties they're aligning with and the amount of activity. I mean, we've already seen that since the acquisition, their revenue run rate has tripled. And, that's obviously great for us, but it's also great for the industry.
Right. No, that's undeniable. And then feeding in RLUSD and other tokenized products and just becoming a fan. So the wingspan of the company, just in the folks that we've talked to, has just really gotten super broad.
Yeah, I mean, the last year, I kind of made this comment as I kicked off my comments this morning. A year ago, sitting here right now, the SEC was still suing Ripple.
Right.
And it's amazing when I think we do, because crypto moves fast, you lose sight of the big picture. You kind of step out, like how much has changed in the last year. We've made two major acquisitions in Hidden Road for $1.2 billion and G Treasury. We've made some smaller acquisitions, a really powerful one that has leadership around stablecoin payments called Rail. So we're obviously very pleased with the momentum, and capping that off almost as a cherry on top is the announcement today with the $500 million coming in from some of these truly leading financial institutions that have been, I think, a little more cautious. They now have permission because of some of the regulatory clarity that has improved.
A real M&A spree over the past couple of years that includes licenses in multiple different jurisdictions. Talk to us a little bit about Ripple's growth plan. Is this going to continue as you build out your really financial services giant?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to continue to focus on being that kind of blockchain infrastructure play for the enterprise, for financial institutions. I think we will slow down on the M&A spree a little bit. We've acquired a bunch of things that we want to make sure we integrate. Although my corp dev team would argue that, I was going to say it's easy to sign a deal, it's harder to integrate the deal. Sometimes it's hard to sign the deal too. But right now we're going to focus on some amazing assets, some amazing leaders, and how do we bring those pieces together? We haven't talked today, but G Treasury, I mean, they are the corporate dashboard for over the CFO dashboards for over 1,000 different CFOs, managing literally trillions of dollars of payments, hundreds of billions of dollars of, I'll call trapped capital kind of deposits, and the ability to put those, leveraging stablecoins, leveraging Ripple payments, not forcing it upon anyone, but giving them the option of using stablecoins for payments, holding stablecoins as those deposits to make them more movable is, all part of our strategy.
Their revenue run rate has tripled under Ripple's watch. Okay, stop and absorb this for a second. Hidden Road was doing their thing. Ripple walks through the door in May and boom, triple the run rate. We're talking months, not years. When numbers like this drop, honestly, my head spins in about 50 directions at once. But here's what keeps pulling me back. They cranked up the business by 3x in the blink of an eye. Now, put yourself in the shoes of every other company going head-to-head with Hidden Road. They're watching this unfold. The scramble to level up their infrastructure, it has to be intense right now. And you know what? This is classic Ripple. It's their signature move. They acquire, they integrate their tech, and suddenly you're seeing 2x, 3x multipliers happening at warp speed. Everyone else in the industry has no choice but to react or fall off the map. What's got me on the edge of my seat is Archax and G Treasury. With Ripple now running the show, how wild is their expansion going to get? What kind of shockwaves does that send through the competition? Because dragging all these players onto blockchain infrastructure doesn't just help one company, it supercharges the entire playing field. Sure, the XRP ledger won't capture absolutely everything. I'm not going to sit here and oversell it. But if we lock down a serious slice of this pie, that's when things get really interesting for us. Because at the end of the day, we're here to stack wins, right? That's the whole point. Listen to this.
I would love to see billions in brand new assets that have never existed before that we can now bring on chain because of tokenization, where the operational frictions of being able to administer them at scale, things like IP rights, sports team ownership, right? Things like this. I hope that we're able to have billions of brand new assets that never existed before. Amen.
So that's the whole thing I was breaking down for you at the end there, right? Look, we've got all these big corporations wired in now, and they've got access to tools that were basically science fiction a few years ago. Those 1,000 companies we mentioned, each one's got a whole pack of rivals nipping at their heels trying to take their spot. Now here's where things get wild. You drop this technology into their lap, boom, they've got total command of their money, shifting it around in seconds, making returns while competitors are sitting idle, literally pulling in profits every hour of every day. This isn't some minor upgrade. This is the stuff that turns underdogs into champions and leaves the competition wondering what hit them. We're watching a real shakeup here. For businesses battling it out in the trenches, this might be the only thing standing between winning big or getting wiped out. All right, dive into this. Jungle Inc. says, Blackrock exec Maxwell Stein says the global financial system is ready for large-scale blockchain adoption and that the infrastructure from Ripple could soon move trillions of dollars on-chain. Even NASDAQ CEO agrees once regulation hits, institutions will flood in. The future of finance isn't coming. It's already being built. So let me throw this piece into the mix here. Of course, Maxwell Stein is part of BlackRock's digital assets team. He revealed that the global market is now ready for blockchain-based innovations and that the infrastructure being developed by Ripple could facilitate the movements of trillions of dollars on public ledgers like the XRP ledger. Now here's the wild part. Go back a few years and institutions were running away from public ledgers like they were toxic. They absolutely refused to have their deals visible where people could track them. But then something funny happened. All the actual money, all the real liquidity, it migrated over to these open chains, whether they liked it or not. So now you've got these financial powerhouses in a bind. They need to tap into that liquidity pool to handle their daily operations, and we're talking about moving astronomical amounts, trillions flying around every 24 hours. What's happened is this total shift in attitude. Public blockchains like XRP Ledger and Solana went from being avoided to being embraced. You're watching Wall Street types actually building serious infrastructure on these networks now. For the crypto world, this is huge. This is the validation everyone's been waiting for. Adina Friedman also participated in RippleSwell 2025, stating that once regulatory clarity arrives, institutional players are likely to flood into the blockchain space, further accelerating mainstream adoption. Friedman's keynote is widely regarded as a strong endorsement from traditional finance for Ripple and XRP, or XRPL, signifying that blockchain technology is moving from niche experimentation to foundational financial infrastructure. And let me pull out the big highlights here. 2025's conference featured leaders from BlackRock, NASDAQ, MasterCard, Fidelity, and other financial giants, underscoring a strong institutional pivot toward tokenization, stablecoins, and regulatory integration. The consensus was that Ripple's efforts have laid the groundwork for real-world blockchain utility and payment settlements and asset tokenization, and the comments from BlackRock point to a potential future flows of trillions of dollars into the blockchain rails. All right, so there's this Brad Garlinghouse clip about Citadel that's been making the rounds. I'm actually going to save that one for later because, let's be honest, you've probably stumbled across it like 3 or 4 times by now, right? Before we get there, though, I need to show you some other things that are way too important to skip over. But hey, if you're dying to see that Citadel clip, stick around. I'll drop it at the very end. Now check this out. You know Reese Merrick, yeah? The guy's a senior exec at Ripple, running the show for Middle East and Africa. Here's the thing. We've been watching some absolutely wild innovation happening in places like the UAE and South Africa. Plus, Africa's just exploding with fresh partnerships left and right these days. And guess who's behind a lot of that magic? Yep, Reese and his crew grinding it out in those regions. So peep this. Franklin Templeton Digital Assets dropped this gem. Oh, and this right here? That's Sandy Call. She's legit awesome. Take a listen.
Done. Talk to us a little bit about the doors that have opened and how the conversations have changed with some of the Wall Street giants like
Sure.
here.
Well, I think it's both in terms of, personally, Ripple's litigation with the SEC or the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple. That has ended. It was over in August of this year. We won in the district court. The SEC appealed. The SEC dropped the appeal. Done and dusted. We are over. And we're in a unique position because that litigation victory gave Ripple and XRP and the XRP ledger that we rely on in our products absolute legal clarity. That in and of itself puts us in a very unique position. With the change of the administration, though, we went from a war on crypto to a goal of making the United States the crypto capital of the world. So in terms of the 1-2 punch, the momentum in terms of our personal victory in the court, followed very quickly with the administration's commitment to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, the momentum that brings is just tremendous. And I think that leads to the conversation, the financial institutions knocking on the door, our ability to engage in the M&A transactions that we've been engaging in. All of that could not have happened with both the litigation victory and I think the change of the administration mindset.
So what Stuart Alvarado is laying out here is pretty straightforward. That courtroom victory where the judge said XRP isn't a security, that was the game changer. Without it, Ripple would still be handcuffed. No acquisition spree, no high-level conversations with the suits running Wall Street and major financial players worldwide. Definitely not the kind of deal-making they're doing in the U.S. right now. He's dropping some solid perspective in this clip. All right, switching gears, here's Matt Hogan diving into crypto's ETF moment. Listen to this.
Absolutely. We think there's demand for exposure to a large number of those altcoins. I think that you'll see assets like XRP and other major assets get their ETFs relatively soon. We've seen filings from the SEC, not talking about any specific filing, but we've seen those moving through the system. We're going to wake up in 6 months and investors are going to be able to use high quality, low cost ETFs to access the top 10, maybe top 20 ETFs. And then the next exciting thing beyond that is you're going to start to see ETFs that package those together in diversified exposures. Those index-based ETFs, I actually think could be one of the surprises of the market. I could think they could be, bigger even than the Ethereum ETF. So there is definitely more coming from Bitwise. We've entered the ETF era of crypto, and I think that's a very good thing for investors.
Crypto's ETF moment is happening right now, everyone. And hey, thanks so much for spending this time with me. If you grabbed something useful from this, hit that like. Tell me what you're thinking in the comments below. Pass it along to anyone in your circle who dig it. I'm genuinely grateful you tuned in. Now go enjoy your weekend. See you in the next video.